Welcome to the Yankee Recon podcast, where we talk all things Yankee and sports related content. My name is Frankie Crespo, alongside the best partner in the world, Teo Kum. And the Yankees deadline has been, well, it's sort of disappointing. I mean, you got to think about it like this, right? The number one thing that we addressed in the last episode was we desperately needed a catcher and we needed relievers. And sadly, we didn't get either of those. Um, some of the best like catching prospects ended up moving on to other teams, actually in the AL East, funny enough. And then besides that, relievers that we mentioned also ended up moving to other teams. Especially like Luke Weaver going to the Pirates, which is a little reunion on itself, but we were hoping for a Yankee reunion, obviously. Just to get some help in the bullpen. And then obviously, we'll get more in depth. We're gonna be planning a full trade deadline video. Um, kind of covering what happened around the league. But Adley to the Red Sox is probably that's really devastating, honestly. I don't think anybody really expected that the Orioles will move Adley to probably their biggest rivals, the Red Sox, historically. Um, that's really disappointing, honestly. For Yankees fans, knowing that besides that, Ryan Jeffers didn't even move at all. So it's like, did we even make an effort to try to actually get a catcher, or were we really like hoping that Wells is just gonna be our guy? It's really disappointing. Um, but besides that, honestly, the Yankees made a few good trades. We ended up getting Luis Garcia Jr. from the Nationals. Infielder, he plays first base, second, third. He's a great bat. Really good stats this season. He's having a great season. And his first game with the Yankees was also very good. And besides that, we also ended up getting an outfielder, which was kind of low on the priority list, as far as like I know, like as far as we thought. But we ended up picking Heliot Ramos from the Giants, who again I was kind of discussing with Teo. Like I don't even think he was really like on the trading block. I thought he was gonna stay a Giant. He's been having a great season also. Um, so yeah, it's just kind of strange. But that's the moves that the Yankees made. Brian Cashman thought that the deadline was tomorrow. Anybody see that? But um, yeah, it's just disappointing. It's really disappointing. Um, but the biggest news that we have to discuss, honestly, is Anthony Volpe got demoted, Lombard got called up, and honestly, we have hope again. We feel hope in this team again. And Teo, I wanted you to really like give your thoughts on like what do you think about this new team now that the deadline's over and it's kind of like a new refresh?
It's weird, man. If you were to look at the squad like 3 months ago, Aaron Judge, Cody, eh, Judge, Bellinger, and Grisham all on the outfield, and now it's sorry, not Garcia Jr., Heliot Ramos, and the other outfielder who,
Spencer Jones.
for some reason, I forgot his name. I don't know how I did that, but like Spencer Jones, of course, forgot about Spencer Jones. It's such a different feeling, how the Yankees are approaching this. So like the Yankees side. So like Frankie said, the outfield wasn't really something in particular that we were aiming for. Now, granted, how the outfield has been playing, it's been a bit of a struggle. Rosario's now out of injury, so I think that just kind of forced the Yankees to really go. How beneficiary is that in the long run? I don't know how long it will be. There might be a possibility that Heliot Ramos is there, particularly because I don't know if the Yankees will focus on Trent Grisham come the off season because Trent Grisham's only here for a year, right? So this might be a scenario where this is his last year and we're trying to go for a different direction. Now, the thing about Heliot Ramos is that as much as he is a good player, he has a very high strikeout rate. And that might be a reason for why San Francisco wanted to get him out. But also San Francisco is like in their own world at the moment. So it's up in the air. It's really up in the air. I think also now moving forward, that's Now moving forward, I do like the Luis Garcia Jr. signing. He's a great power hitter, and we saw that in his first debut. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But Luis Garcia looks promising, and he's a great midfielder that can really play any position. The only position that me and Frankie really were like iffy on playing shortstop, just because of like how we already have a couple shortstops that have been playing that role. And if anything, if we do need a shortstop to work, we might have to just call up not Anthony Volpe but Oswaldo Cabrera. It's up in the air. It's up in the air. I am liking what we're seeing, but as Frankie mentioned, this was kind of a underwhelming offseason. We talk a lot about like the catching and the position in terms of like the chemistry of the team right now. Austin Wells, despite his hitting struggles and whatnot, he has a great chemistry with the pitching rotation. And as much as we kind of want Austin Wells to go, it might hurt our team. Now, a lot of people talk about, oh well, team chemistry is not that big in baseball. I'd argue differently. I argue that chemistry in baseball is a really big thing, and especially when it comes to a pitching and catching role. Right now, I think another big thing for me is that if we're investing into Austin Wells, we're gonna have to just like work around him, and that's just the biggest thing because we don't have good backup catchers. Now, nothing to take away from Ali Sanchez. I think Ali Sanchez is a fine baseball player, but at the end of the day, I just don't think that he would be in a starting position. I don't think that the Yankees would want him to be in a starting position. And at the end of the day, he's a good backup. He is a good backup. But most importantly, the most frustrating, and I had to say it twice because it really pissed me off, we did not get any bullpen pieces. We actually lost bullpen pieces, and that was really frustrating because our bullpen already is on like a thin line, and I feel like to start off we got with Camilo Duvall, which was like good. That's a great first start. Now let's try to get in some bullpen pieces. Didn't do that at all, which sucked because a bullpen identity could take you very far into this game, and the fact that we don't have any kind of worries me because this bullpen is off and on, off and on. I know some bullpen pieces they've had their struggles, but it would have been nice to see if we could get a little bit of a better, not ace because ace isn't the right word, but somebody who's a bit more reliable compared to Angel Chivili. As much as it hurts me to say, we needed somebody better than that. And we'll transition over to the first game, where the first game was terrible. It was not a good game for the Yankees after the trade deadline took place. Heading into it, Cam Schlittler did not have a good outing. Hit around very early into the game and had 83 pitches, only 3 innings, which was like shocking to me. And despite the 6 strikeouts, the St. Louis Cardinals were able to hit around him very early, as I mentioned prior. We were down by 6 at the top of the fourth. And then Austin Wells hit a home run. Trent Grisham hit a home run. Riot McMahon hit a home run. Jose Caballero hit a home run. And Luis Garcia Jr. in his Yankee debut from the New York City area, he hit a home run to give the Yankees a lead in the bottom of the seventh, 6-7, 6-7. And unfortunately, in the bottom of the eighth, the Yankees bullpen found a way to choke with Angel Chivili not giving up not one, not two, but 3 fucking home runs. Absolutely awful game. Frankie, do you have any takeaways from this?
This was probably the game that they decided like he's not gonna be a Yankee anymore. Um, so yeah,
Yikes.
this
That's
I'm
harsh. But
sorry, but it
yeah.
is true. He
Yeah.
has a blown save. He gave up 5 hits and 6 earned runs. Okay. That's very disappointing from somebody that we put a lot of hope into. That the Yankees kind of thought that they could transform into a good pitcher, but sometimes you can't get rid of the like that literally the Colorado Rocky flavor that sometimes these pitchers pick up like playing over there. And honestly, he's maybe one of those guys. He's had other outings with the Yankees that it wasn't as disappointing, but this was definitely the game that they decided like we're gonna have to move on. I mean, yeah, blown save, and this is insane way to blow a game. By the way, I mean, final score 13-7. That's insane.
Yeah. It was a comeback. It was a really good comeback and it works. The Yankees just couldn't pull it away. Or rather Angel Chivili couldn't pull it away. And so we have to move on. We have to win our games. And luckily enough, the second game, the Yankees won 2-0, which was a little bit of a shocker. We put them through a shutout. Ryan Weathers got the start. Great outing from him. 6 innings pitched, 4 hits around, no runs scored, and 6 strikeouts. So the biggest thing here was Jazz Chisholm had a better day contact wise, and also Lombard Jr. up to the plate in his Yankee debut, his first at bat. You know, solo home run to give the Yankees a 2-0 lead. That's like the best. Well, maybe not the best feeling, but like that's one of the best feelings if you are a rookie. Just getting your first home run in Yankee Stadium as a rookie, that must have felt really good for Lombard Jr. But not only that, Lombard Jr. is a great defensive man too. And we'll talk about that for game 3. But yeah, this was a great day for our bullpen. This was a great day for our defense. And we also saw Heliot Ramos up to the plate. Didn't do really much either. 0 for 4 in this at bat. And I think he played. I think I forgot to mention this too. He did. Did he play? No, he did not play in the first game. So I take that back. So this was Heliot Ramos' debut. And he struck out, had a couple of groundouts. So that was a little bit unfortunate to see. Any takeaways from this game, Mr. Frankie Crespo?
Um, yeah, Lombard Jr. is pretty legit. It's really early to say if he's like major league ready yet, but he walked, he hit a home run, and I believe he grounded out. Okay, he didn't strike out once in his debut, which is really nice. You're gonna strike out eventually. But he also played. He also had some great double plays. In the same game. It's just one of those things where it's like it's so relieving seeing somebody who we think that, oh, this guy's gonna be great, and he actually does something great, like it's so relieving, especially if you're a Yankees fan, where every time you're told, like, oh, this guy's gonna be great, he's gonna be the next this, that, and then it's just disappointment, and Lombard Jr. had a great debut, and obviously, we hope that he has continued success. And besides that, Ramos, you know, um, he at least he didn't really strike out too much. Again, he made decent contact, whatever. It was a tough matchup for him. And but he plays decent defense. He plays a good left field, and we're hoping that he puts it together, and he continues to have more consistent success also. So
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not counting him out. It's his first at bat as a Yankee. It's been a little rough for him this year. And also he's Puerto Rican, so he gets a little plus.
oh
But
yeah.
yeah, a little plus, a little bias there. But in the end of the day, like I feel confident that Heliot Ramos is good. Now, granted, like I said, we gave up a lot for him. But in hindsight, we could have a future with Heliot Ramos. So now moving on, we had game 3. It was the Cardinals versus the Yankees, and the Cardinals took game 3 by surprise. Will Warren gave up 3 runs in this inning, 5 innings pitched, 7 hits allowed. Rough day for the offense that only got, what was it now, 4 hits. It was a brutal day. It was a really brutal day. The only run that they got wasn't even from a hit; it was from an RBI walk. It was just hard to hit offensively, and like we said, like there's gonna be days where you're not gonna get into an offensive rhythm. But keep in mind that this is not the first half. We were like, oh, if you lose the first game, then you got the second game to work on. No, this is a scenario where now, look at the standings. Boston is 1 game behind the Yankees at the time of recording. It's currently Friday, August 7th. They are 1 game behind. That wasn't the case 2 months ago. 2 months ago, Boston was bottom of the. I don't know about bottom. I think they were on top of Toronto. But it's the postseason race is starting to heat up, and it's a little nerve wracking. So losing games like these is disappointing. It's very disappointing. And this was also another game where they were able to get on base thanks to just taking some good takes. Not from hitting, but just being able to walk. However, again, the offense was just not working out. When the Yankees needed to get something going, they couldn't get something going. Ali Sanchez in the bottom of the ninth with one man on base struck out. Gary Lombard Jr. with one man on to try to tie the game in the bottom of the eighth struck out as well. Rough game all the way.
Yeah, definitely. And then especially like we mentioned before we started recording with Grisham, your leadoff guy going 0 for 5, like, honestly, you need a nah, I'm just playing. But the thing is like we need to kind of like figure out who's going to be your leadoff guy. Um, I really like potentially Caballero playing uh going batting first just because of like he grinds the at bat and early in the game that's really helpful, especially if Rice is going to bat second, which he has been very consistently. And in that game, I believe he walked 3 times. So he walked a lot. He got on base a lot. The Cubs were definitely very wary of Ben Rice, which is good because well Ben Rice is pretty good. So
Yeah.
he got on base a lot, but he didn't get any hits sadly. And I believe the only extra base hits that game were from Heliot Ramos and also Goldschmidt. So yeah, and then I think Goldschmidt was DH that game. So yeah, like it's just one of those things where it's like you kind of have to put it together. Like,
No, Garcia. Wait. I'm sorry. Finish what you were saying.
no, but yeah, or I don't even know if Goldschmidt actually even started that game. I just know he took an at bat at least one.
He was pitch hit.
Pinched hit. Okay,
I'm trying to see who was DH. Was Rice was DH.
Rice was DH. I forgot who he pinched for though. Sadly, I did watch
Rice
this game.
DH. Goldschmidt pitched hit for him.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, so it's like, again, like, yeah, sure, the hitting, whatever, but just consistent. Like, there was a lot of walks this game, and, your leadoff guy, again, going 0 for 5. 0 for 5 is just really disappointing. Sorry, the thought of somebody going 0 for 5 in the leadoff spot almost made me throw up. So, no, I'm just playing, but it's one of those things where it's like you have to like kind of figure it out. So just make the decision soon because it's just not going to work with Grisham batting first. It just hasn't.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean I agree. It's not a good outing, and like I said, this is the games where you need to start winning. And the Yankees know that. I don't want to say that they don't know that. They know the position that they in. They need to start winning games, especially how the AL East is really now winding down to just 4 teams, which are Yankees, Rays, Red Sox, and fuck, I'll throw in Chicago there. Those are the top 4 teams in the AL right now.
Yeah, in
Kind
the
of
AL.
crazy. Kind of
Yeah,
crazy.
so it's one of those things too. Which, by the way, I just wanted to bring this up. I saw this earlier. If the postseason started today from the American League side, you have Rangers. This is the wild card: Rangers and Astros, Boston and the Yankees, and then Tampa, obviously for the ALDS, and the White Sox for the
Yeah.
ALDS. Also, because they have they've had the most success, which is so crazy. Because if you told anybody who's watching baseball up until last season, like even if you started watching baseball last season, and you said, "Oh, the White Sox are gonna have a great success next season," no one would believe you. I don't think
Yeah.
anybody would believe you. And the White Sox are, I mean, they're the second best team in the American League at the moment, with the
Yeah.
Rays in first. Um, and obviously you have the teams that are expected for the National League are there. Obviously, I think the most surprising team there, honestly, for me, is probably the Diamondbacks. I like the Diamondbacks are kind of having like a resurrection in a way. Like I thought they were dead, but they're having pretty decent success. They made it to the wild card. They're currently in the wild card spot, the last spot though. So you just kind of have to see how that turns out, also.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, it's crunch time. It's the second half. Couldn't be a more better second half than now. But like I said, it is the point in time where the Yankees need to realize that you can't be fucking up these games. And like I said, they know that. But it just feels like whenever they play, they don't know that, right? So I I'm gonna try to shut up and just like watch them play. But again, it's been very annoying. It's been very disappointing how, the way this team has been playing. But there's still a lot of baseball left, and I do think the Yankees can still get first place. It's very possible. It's just we got to find that offensive rhythm, and the fact that they couldn't find it in games 2 and 3 specifically. Game 1 they were able to find it, but game 2 and game 3 specifically, that was brutal. It was a brutal watch. It was terrible. It was very terrible. And shifting over to the look ahead, man, it's going to be a rough game. We got Atlanta, one of the best teams in MLB, a 70-45 team taking on the 64-win Yankees. This is going to be a rough one. Atlanta has been amazing. And I remember we talked about Atlanta all the way back in episode 2, season 1. It was just like, I mean, with Jerks and Profar gone, do Atlanta even have a chance? Yes, they do. And
Yeah.
they are looking for blood. And they might get some out of the Yankees, but this feels like a World Series matchup the way that we have our three best starters going against the Braves. Cam Shuttler, sorry, no, Max Fried will take on game 1, taking on his former team against Tyler Mantle. I do think the Yankees can hit around Mantle because Mantle has not been successful when he started off with Giants, and I think that will transfer over to Atlanta. Now, game 2, that one's going to be a little more tricky. That is Garrett Cole taking on Chris Sale. That's going to be a pitcher's duel. No question about it. I
Must
think the
watch, by the
Yankees,
way. That's a must watch game. I don't care if you're a
yes.
Yankees fan or a Braves fan or you're just a fan of the game. That's a must watch game.
Yep, take time out of your day. If there's a funeral, fuck that funeral. You're going to watch game
Okay.
2.
I'm just saying.
You're in jail. Don't care. You're gonna go watch that game. So
The
that's
radio's
gonna be
right
a good.
there.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good one. Game 3 is gonna be a little bit similar. Grant Holmes taking on Cam Shuttler. I do think the Yankees could take that game, but again, up in the air, series. Then after that, we probably will cover this series. We probably won't. It's Yankees taking on Seattle, another good team, but the Seattle Mariners have kind of been through their struggles. Honestly, a little bit similar to Blue Jays. They've had their injuries. Cal Riley has not lived up to his name than he was last year. So take 2 out of 3. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
we're hoping for that for
points
sure.
fingers. Take 2 out of 3. Take
Two
three
out
out
of
of three,
three.
maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
So that's kind of the look ahead. Anything you're looking for other than game 2 between the Yankees and the Braves? What are you looking forward to exactly, Frankie?
Um, well, continued success for our new guys that we got at the deadline. I want to see them have better at bats. I want to see them play good defense, and just kind of like, start to feel themselves. Like you guys are playing for the Yankees now, and at least just kind of just keep having a certain success that they were already kind of known for in their former teams. But now it means a lot more that you're a Yankee. Um, with Ramos going from the Giants to the Yankees, and then obviously Luis Garcia Jr. now going from the Nationals to the Yankees. I think that's even a bigger status move. And then obviously with Lombard Jr. Um, we hope that we just see more success from him. I mean, again, a great debut, a good second game too, despite the struggle. We just want to see more success. We don't want to see errors. We don't want to see lack of effort. We don't want to see strikeouts on pitches out of the zone, things like that. And honestly, this is a guy that you can like kind of like sit there and you're like, you know what, this guy, he's not going to disappoint.
Right.
And obviously we hope that the whole team doesn't disappoint at all. Besides that, I think the outfield, besides our new guy Ramos, we kind of need to see them like have a little bit of an offensive spark for sure. Spencer Jones, he's been having more consistency, which is nice, but we still need to see his average go up. I think we still need to see more contact. And for Grisham, we need to see anything out of him. Again, he went over 5. Like he's just like whatever. Even his defense hasn't been as good. And I mean, I do blame that on the fact that he's probably a little exhausted. He's probably a little injured. He's probably still a little hurt from his last time. Last time he was got an injury. So,
Yeah.
hopefully Grisham puts it together. And besides that, Just the Yankees need to keep winning. We need to keep taking these series. We cannot be losing these series to these teams that we should be beating. The Braves series, I will say that's going to be a tough one. Hopefully, we could win the series 2 of 3. But against the Mariners, yeah, we're hoping for 3 out of 3 there. So we're hoping to take that series. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a rough ride. It's not going to be easy, but this is what happens when you like, the phrase, fuck around, you find out. And this is what happened. The Yankees were fucking around all year just like, "Oh, let's just like find bullshit ways to lose." Now you have it. Second place. This was the exact same way, exact same stuff with the Blue Jays last year, where it's just like, "Oh, let's just throw away some of these." And listen, what I mean by throw away, it's just like not putting in that same effort as you would do in a playoff game. You know what I mean? So I'm not gonna talk crap anymore about them because I'm just gonna let them play their games. Play their little games, play their little baseball game, and let them hit the ball and things like that, and just hope for the best, and just really hope for the best because they're not a bad team. The Yankees are not a bad team. They're bad. They are just struggling a bit with chemistry, and I understand that because there's a new players going over the new system, and then of course we're trying to mesh in with our rookies. We thought with like the Yankee fans thinking that Spencer Jones is the next upcoming of like Jesus Christ, aka Aaron Judge, and then also Gary Lombard Jr. is up. So we've just been playing around with these rookies, and we're just playing around with these new assets. This is gonna take time. Now, in other Yankee news, we have Aaron Judge, who is expected to make a return. There's no clear timetable, but he has been cleared for light physical activity, and he will be back, quote unquote, for this season that's coming up. And again, this is gonna throw a little bit of wrench in our plans. So I mean, look at it. You would probably put Aaron Judge back in DH while he's coming back of injury, but if the Yankees have a chance of making the playoffs, if the Yankees do make the playoffs, would you put Aaron Judge back at right field and then Ramos in center? But then also another thing is that Bellinger is coming up, so Ramos would be a backup. I don't know. This shit not confuses me.
This is what I would do. Listen, right? So Stan, like let's say Stan doesn't come back, which I don't think he will. I don't think he's coming back this season. So Judge, right? You play
Hmm.
Judge at DH because you can't risk him getting hurt, even though he's our best outfield arm. Uh, sadly, you're gonna miss out on that right field defense. But yeah, if you have to play Grisham, then you have to play Grisham at center field. That means Heliot Ramos has to play left, right field with Spencer Jones. But that what changes is really the infield though. So first base, you have to play Rice. You have to play Rice just offensively. You're
Yeah,
missing out on that good defense from Garcia Jr. and obviously Goldschmidt, but you have
not
to play Rice at first.
and not just have to. You need to play Rice.
You
There's no if,
need
ands, or buts. You need to.
you absolutely need to. And then at second, with who I'm picking right now at second base, I'm gonna pick Garcia Jr. at the moment just because I know he can play second base.
Okay.
He may not have the range that Jazz has had, but with the way that Jazz has been playing, and just he's been really inconsistent. I'd rather have Garcia Jr. there. You might as well put him there.
Yeah.
Shortstop, obviously, just keep it whoever's your current shortstop, which is Lombard Jr. And he's obviously again he's been good so far. So
Yeah.
Lombard Jr. shortstop, and then
And
third
trade with
base,
Caballero. Sorry. And then trade with
right?
Caballero.
Yeah, exactly. And yes, at third, actually, that's what I was gonna mention. I'd play Caballero at third.
Hmm.
Just because he could play there and he's had good success there too, and he's obviously always been a good bat.
Yeah.
So besides that, yeah, because Ryan McMahon would be there sort of like later in the game for defensive purposes, and if you really need a left-handed bat at third, then that's who you play, But
Yeah.
besides that, that's kind of the dream lineup. And I didn't even mention catcher because obviously Wells has to start, just because of his defense and the fact that he catches almost every Yankees starting pitcher. So besides that, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with this lineup. I feel like this lineup is logical. I think the only The only things that I would keep in mind is that Rosario is coming back off of injury soon. Cody Bellinger is also coming off of injury soon. So would you drop? I think you would have to drop Jones here. Unfortunately, as good as Spencer Jones has been, I don't see a world where he will. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. But I just don't see a world where he will be a good performer come the postseason, because postseason energy is different energy. And I don't know if he'll light up to it, especially as a rookie. Now, there's been moments where a rookie sensation does it well in the postseason, but just how Spencer Jones has been playing, just how his swings have been, where he focuses mainly a lot on power, I just don't see him as a full term lineup deal. Now, if the Yankees want to go with a younger route and they don't want to play Ahmed Rosario, fine. I would like to see Spencer Jones up, but I just don't see a world where. Not that it's logical, but I just don't see a world where. Actually, no, it's not logical to me.
No, yeah, absolutely. I don't know. Again, hoping that Lombard Jr. does have success at least for the regular season. Like I get it. If his first postseason experience isn't amazing, I don't think anybody's gonna get mad. Again, yeah, that feeling, it's so different. It is absolutely different in the postseason. And obviously, if anybody is gonna tell him that the postseason experience is different, it's gonna be Judge. Judge
Yeah,
is absolutely we again, and that's to say that the last time that Judge had postseason experience, he actually was one of the only contributors to the team. So he knows what it's like to go from doing very little for the team to doing almost everything he can for the team.
right.
And if Lombard Jr. has very little success in the postseason, if the Yankees do make it to the postseason and he's a starting player there, then he's gonna feel it. He's gonna experience it, and it's good for him. It's good for him to experience it. He's so young. He has all the hope in the world. You know, he has all the time in the world to become a better player. And yeah, you just gotta hope that if the Yankees do really make a far playoff push, that obviously Lombard Jr. is there to have a good time and a good experience also.
Yeah. There's a lot of players to play with, and that's why injury sucks so much. But it's common in baseball, right? So just gotta play around with this and just see how far we can take it. And other injury related news, Carlos Rondon has been not has he be he's been cleared, right?
He's I believe he's clear to pitch, yeah, but he's still warming up. That's why he's on
Yes.
flat ground at the moment.
Yes. Yeah. So we'll see how it goes, and we'll see how Rodon will go. Honestly, this pitching rotation is it's been fine without him, and I do think Rodon is a good player, but this is the second stage of baseball now, and adding a player late in this game could mess things up drastically. It's the same thing with Judge. Like this could be a major disaster. What will happen in the next couple of days after when Judge comes off of injury. I still think Judge will be a relatively good player, but this is like Judge who we haven't seen in 5 months, pretty much, right? Or no, 3 months. I'm being a little jerk. And
Yeah,
then
exactly.
finally, but not least, we also had Mitch Garver's minor league contract. The Yankees just signed him today, actually, to a what is it, a 1 year deal, 2 year deal?
I'm not sure about the contract details, but yeah, minor league contract. Probably not for too long. The last time he was in the majors, he had below 200 batting average, and he was playing for the Mariners, and he was a backup catcher. So,
Yeah,
I think he's really there just in case the Yankees need to call up another backup catcher. So yeah, just I guess look out for
yeah.
him if he ends up having success. So.
Yeah, it's an opt out contract, so later until August 2026. So we'll see. He is a backup catcher. I don't know if that will be a good alternative for Ali Sanchez. I mean, looking at his history, he's been a very decent player. He's had a good career, but he's an older player, and the Yankees need to start looking at more of a younger sort of direction, which is like usually never what the Yankees do, right? But like somehow we've been doing that. So I don't know if that would be an exact fit to replace Ali Sanchez,
It's
to in my
definitely not.
opinion.
It's definitely not, but I think it's just in the precaution that um maybe Ali Sanchez does go down and you still need a right-handed bat. at
Yeah,
catcher. So that might be
yeah,
the situation.
yeah. And I wouldn't mind seeing it. I wouldn't mind it at all. But at the same time, it's just like I don't really know. But I do know one thing that I actually know a fun fact about him. He polishes his World Series ring like every single day. Like that's his prize possession in 2023. And he was actually not a key contributor, but he played in the World Series and he was a starter there and he had some decent moments. He had a home run actually in game 2. That was the comeback. Oh no, that was game 1. Sorry. In game 2. So we'll see. We'll see what the Yankees can deal with. I know one thing also that they'll deal with a lawsuit. Frankie, do you want to talk about like what happened? What happened at that
Well,
game?
so I mean, obviously, the thing is, it's just anytime you go to a major league game or even any sporting event where potentially you might get into contact with any part of the game, there's always a chance that you're gonna get hurt, okay? In soccer or in football, you might have the ball, rocketed towards you. Same thing for American football. Tennis, you might have a few tennis balls hit you in the face. It happens. In
Yeah.
baseball, what might happen is a bat might go flying into the stands and it might hit you in the head, especially if you're not paying full attention or protecting yourself properly. And that's what happened. So the kind of it's this is such a weird controversy to me because I when I first heard it, I thought it was an SNL skit. I thought it was a joke because I was
Yeah.
just like, this is so ridiculous. Ten
What do you
million
think? People that are
dollars.
injured is a joke? Come on.
No, 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 no. That's not what I mean. But I do think it's funny, and the craziest thing to me is uh this is such a crazy situation. So she's some sort of has some sort of medical thing going on where she's in the medical field and she's claiming that she suffered brain damage. Now, here's the thing. Usually when things like this happen, like it's so devastating, it's terrible, but you are smart enough to know when you come to a sporting event, especially a baseball game, that anytime you go there, that there's a risk and there's a chance that something might come towards you and you have to pay attention, you
Yep.
know? Especially when you're sitting at the seats that she was sitting at. She's sitting not too far from, you know, where they bat. And obviously the netting is there, yes, but the netting is there for line outs and for
Yeah.
line drives, okay? That doesn't prevent bats from flying over, okay?
Yeah.
And usually if you see a bat, like if you see anything flying over you, and we have experience with things flying towards us at Yankee Stadium now,
Yep.
we can't catch you can't catch a beer bottle, but you can catch a bat. You can move away from a bat because it moves much slower than a beer bottle. I'll tell you that. Okay. So, if you see something flying towards you, duck and cover, I would say. Make sure that you protect your head. That's the first thing. Um, and if you're smart and you are in the medical field and you feel like you're at risk, don't go to a baseball game. Don't go to a sporting event if you know that you're like people who are in the medical field, they're important people. Like I don't want to see people like that hurt. I never want to hear about them having some sort of injury or anything like that, because those are real life angels, those are real life protectors. Um, so, I'd say next time if you ever go to another, like this is to anybody, if you do not want to get hit by anything, I'd say go to the grandstands, go high up in the air. You probably can't get hit by anything over there. You might have to deal with birds, but besides that, I don't think you will be dealing with any balls unless it's hit by like Stanton or Barry Bonds or something like that. There's nothing going up there. Um, and yeah, I mean, she's not gonna win anything. The Yankees are probably gonna settle out of court just so she doesn't keep talking about, like, oh, Yankee Stadium is dangerous. It's really not. It's pretty okay, despite what, despite our stories from the past. But um, yeah, it's crazy. I feel bad for her, yes, because that's a terrible thing that happened. But also you cannot blame the Yankees. You cannot blame MLB standards or anything like that. Like it's a game and it's a game that you have to pay attention and that some things might happen, you know. So hopefully everything is okay. Hopefully she gets better. And yeah, it's a crazy story. So
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing to note that it's a fucking net. Like it's not a brick wall. Like if it was a brick wall, then I don't think people would go to baseball games because like why would you ever sit there? But like it's a net. It's not supposed to like ricochet off of there and like bounce back. You know what I mean? Like it's not supposed to launch back in the air or things like that. So I mean, and it says it right in your fucking face. If you ever sit, I'm sorry, I've been cursing today. Oh my god, I've
Sailor,
been,
of course.
yeah. Let me stop. But if you sit on that little area, there's a little thing that says, "Be aware of bats and or balls." Right. So like you need to be. I don't know what to tell you. That it wasn't supposed to protect you, but that's also another thing that I that's like my biggest fear as a former little league player now retired, you know, that was always like a biggest player that's always like my biggest fear when you're playing baseball is the fear of hitting people and like making them injured or like injuring them and like prolonging or not prolonging shortening their lifespan. I think like the biggest example, I forget the player name, but it was that guy from Chicago. Maybe you remember that the guy from the Cubs that was taking on the Astros and the guy hit the ball and it ricocheted off that little girl's face and like
Oh
she had
yeah,
like
that was
brain
terrible.
damage, something like that,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, that's terrible.
That's
That's absolutely
that's like
terrible.
my biggest fear. And like he left baseball right after that because like he couldn't get over the guilt. And like I want to get over that guilt either. Just like it's the biggest fear, but you and that's why the netting is there in the first place, and that's a great thing because back then nettings did not exist. Nettings did not exist, and I wonder how many injuries there were back in like the early 1900s from those type of fly line drive fouls. But other than that, it's a terrible feeling to get hit, but at the same time, you know the risk when you come into the ball game. You know that the ball will probably fly towards you at any point at any point of the game. So you have to be aware. But also at the same time, as heat in the moment, they weren't expecting that. But also, you kind of have to expect that. It's like Big Brother, expect the unexpected. So,
Not
I
sponsored, but
not sponsored, but I don't
no,
think they would sponsor it.
you never
But
know.
maybe never know. But with that in mind, you know, I am hopeful that this future of the Yankees baseball is in the hand is good. It's in the hands of the best to ever play, quote unquote. And we just have to see how it goes. We just have to see if the Yankees have what it takes to get back into first place of the division and move on forward and probably take on the Dodgers. And we'll talk about the freaking Dodgers in the next episode prior. But until then, this is the end of our episode. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch or rather to listen to Puerto Ricans that love talking about all things sports. Catch us next week, or rather next episode coming in a few days, where we will be ranking every team's trade deadline on a tier list. S being the best, F being the worst. So tune into that. So then, this is Theodore Coombe, and that is the guy, the man, the myth, the legend, Frankie Crespo, sitting right beside me, saying so long. We'll catch you next episode. Goodbye.
See ya.